Hey, Catalyst, can you pass the Entrepreneur Intuition test? Have you ever felt convinced you're making the absolute right decision for an exciting opportunity, only to find that it really wasn't truly aligned with your mission? And either it was a costly mistake or you just wasted a lot of time and effort in something that didn't fulfill your purpose. In this episode, we're going to dive in and help you train up this secret skill that can become your superpower, your entrepreneurial intuition. We're going to talk about how to distinguish between external pressure and inner alignment, the importance of saying no, why creativity and individuality matter more than rigid systems, and how to build a business and life that flows with your unique strengths. If you've ever struggled with decision making or second guessing yourself, this episode is for you. I've even included a quick quiz to see how strong your intuition is, and then we'll unpack some easy ways that you can start strengthening this now. So listen in and let's have some fun. Hey, if we haven't met, my name is Dr. Lara Salyer. I'm an ex-burned-out physician turned mentor and coach, and I help overworked women physicians catalyze their inner spark and spirit. I believe in a world where we can flourish inside and outside the exam room by redefining the practice of medicine as a self-expression of the healing arts. So, if you're ready to step into your highest creative power and transform lives without burnout, subscribe to this channel, and together we'll color outside the lines and create your work-life masterpiece. I'm so glad you're here. All right, let's dive into the story, shall we? So this began several years ago, where I was sipping my coffee, and I was across the table from one of my favorite people, a local entrepreneur who have bought and sold many businesses in different industries, and they were well versed in the strategies to grow and scale a business. They had just listened to some of my updates in my life, how I was excited that my functional medicine membership practice had taken off in the community, but even more excited and shocked that colleagues started to come to me asking for advice. I loved sharing whatever worked and the mistakes I had made so that maybe it can save them from making the same mistakes. I started templating and providing SOPs and infographics, and this colleague of mine was nodding and saying, I know exactly what you need to do. You should open up an agency. So I put my coffee cup down and I looked at them and said, what does that mean? And they started talking about how that could be very lucrative, how I'm standing on a gold mine because I am helping these people. But imagine if I hired a graphic designer, if I hired coaches that could keep these practitioners accountable, if I could only go ahead and streamline a system that would deliver done for you websites, done for you social media campaigns and strategies. And look at how lucrative that could be. And I thought for a moment and I nodded. Certainly. Absolutely. That sounds like that could be lucrative. I mean, I'm a systems thinker and I love systems, which is why I think a lot of colleagues depend on me. They know that I can have that altitude view and look for those loopholes. And I really love a good system. When you are founding and building your business on systems, it's so much easier to be more efficient and find that flow. So I sat there and I thought about it. And I knew that this specific solo entrepreneur meant well. There was nothing they were selling me. They weren't trying to do this sneaky kind of soft sell of, well, I can help you do that, right? They were just being honest. They really thought I was sitting on a gold mine and choosing not to move forward with something that could absolutely extravagantly change my life. And if you've ever felt this way, this flutter in your chest, that maybe you've struck something that's important, we all know that feeling. For me, it is like a flutter in my throat. I start to feel this pull and this excitement. This entrepreneur gave me a few names that I could contact, some legal people, some strategy people where I could make this happen, right? Some website people. And of course, I took those names down and I was very gleeful. And this is right off the heels of some early mistakes I had made, where I'd partnered with people that perhaps wasn't aligned with what I had wanted. So this felt good. This felt like a sign. But instead of hopping on my computer and contacting these people, I put it on my snooze list. which is just a little rule that I've made for myself whenever it comes to big decisions or pivoting, life-altering decisions. I put it on a 48-hour snooze, and I tell myself to think about it in 48 hours. And the first feeling that bubbles up when I think about it, because what I do is I set a trigger, I set an alarm on my phone or on my Google Calendar that will remind me to think about this decision in 48 hours. And when it pops up in my view, I'm very aware of what emotion pops up first. If it's one of excitement, I can't wait, this feels right, I know it's right. If it's one of hesitancy or fear or anxiety or kind of groaning, right? Then I know I need to check myself. And this 48-hour snooze rule saved me because after I thought about it for 48 hours, I realized I didn't want to start an agency. I don't believe that getting from point A to point B with a rigid dogmatic system is the way to go for healthcare sustainability. That's what got us into this mess. We're built on these very inflexible systems. And what I believe is my zone of genius is helping practitioners with their own unique creativity, helping them find the EMR that works best for their brains or the social media strategy that feels more authentic to them. I'm not forcing them into a rigid system. I'm giving them tools to build their own. And I'm helping them see their own limiting beliefs because no system will do that for you. You can sign up with a business that will promise to deliver a website and funnels and all of these things. But if they're not working with you to find your own hidden gems, your own hidden superpowers, the ways where your brain is more in flow or contradictory, the ways that you're self-sabotaging yourself, you're not going to get very far. And that's why so many entrepreneurs get stuck. They've spent thousands of dollars on other businesses that promise a system. And the system is only as good as your creativity. And it's only as good as if it fits your authenticity and your mission. So I actually said, no, I'm not going to start an agency. I don't want to have somebody else coaching my catalysts inside my mentorship. I firmly believe that empowering them to trust their own unique, intuitive, creative power is what is keeping them nimble, able to pivot, able to listen to their communities, and create that work-life masterpiece of their dreams. I'm thinking about the roster of catalysts that I've graduated and the current ones in my studio, and there are no two alike. Everybody has a different community. Everybody uses a membership model with a slight different nuance. And no system can accommodate that. As much as I wish it could, I love systems, but what you need is more strategy, and specifically more intuitive strategy. You see, intuition is important. It's something that we don't give enough credit to, much like the art of medicine, right? We're all about the strategy and the science of medicine, the protocols, and we forget about that intuitive art of medicine, how you know something isn't quite right with that patient sitting across from you. Well, the same premise is important in building a business as an entrepreneur. There's many examples of famous entrepreneurs trusting their intuition and finding that it absolutely led them to the right place. One example that stands out in my mind is Oprah Winfrey. Remember, she won awards with her role as Sophia in The Color Purple. I think it was in the 80s, 1985. And executives were asking her to do a sequel and trying to get her to appear again in this very pivotal role, and something inside her said no. Her intuition just kept saying no, and she said she couldn't understand why. She had no logic and no reasoning, but she honored that intuition. And that led her to greatness because in turning down that role, she started her own company, OWN, and then it expanded her reach beyond the typical talk show host. And she, since then, has made history with her philanthropic efforts and all the ways that her whole network, OWN, has exemplified the goal of trusting your own intuition. Nobody knows but you. And this is a skill that is trainable. Trusting your own intuition, some of us are born with this innate ability to lean back and go, yep, I'm going to figure it all out. I trust it. Well, that's not me. I've had to train that skill up. My first evidence that I could trust it was back when I used to play clarinet. And I would perform, and I was such a person that needed the music in front of me. I needed to know what was coming up. I was a very anxious performer, talented, but anxious. And my teacher said, you have to trust that you've done the work and it's there behind your fingers, and let the music carry you. And all I could think of is, what? Let the music carry me? No, I'm the one making the music. I can't trust anything. And he was right, though. I took a chance and I tried performing without my music in front of me. And it turned out to be one of the best performances I've ever done. And it catapulted me to the first chair in the Illinois All-State Band out of the whole state of Illinois for high school. And that's such a wonderful memory for me because it showed me that there is intuition. You can trust your ability to discern. And in that case, discern where the music needed to be louder, softer, faster, slower, and adjusting the musicality of the piece. This is essential in entrepreneurship. Why we need intuition is because only you know how you want your work-life masterpiece to feel, right? You know that feeling. And you can trust that when you start making decisions that are pulling you in the right direction, it gets easier to do that. There's a science behind intuition as well, because intuition isn't just woo-woo, right? It's not like, this trusting of, sparkle and magic, but it kind of is, right? Experienced decision makers like CEOs, Olympic athletes, musicians, artists, they all have trained up that intuition so that things feel effortless and it becomes a super skill to have. You can do this in your own business decisions and you will have an unfair advantage to those colleagues that are simply following a dogmatic system. Because if you can trust yourself with your intuition, sky's the limit. And then you can take anything that you get, like a box of Legos, and you can build your own castle with them because you've honed that intuitive tool to discern what is right and what is wrong. What is your secret superpower energy source? I have two: a morning cup of coffee and the energy I get from connecting with practitioners just like you. Since 2019, I've had the deep honor of working with practitioners all across the world and help them express their own unique healing style to transform patient lives without burnout. And I've put a lot of free resources in an online hub just for you. Head to drlarasalyer.com/catalyst and download some of my freebies like the Catalyst Calendar Method, which will teach you how to put more flow in your week, or the functional micro practice checklist so you can compare your journey to where you may want to go. And my favorite, the Catalyst Archetype Quiz. It will match you to one of 4 personas, and you'll learn what is your best creative expression and also where are you most likely to drop into burnout. Knowledge is power and awareness is curative. But most of all, connect with me. Give me that superpower energy source, and we can grab coffee at the same time. I leave spots in my calendar open, a few every week, just for you. And if you use the coupon podcast, you can waive the fee for these brainstorming sessions. So let's get online, let's share a cup of coffee, and book your appointment for free with the coupon code podcast. Go to drlarasalyer.com/catalyst, and I can't wait to chat with you online. Let's create some magic. So let's take a quiz, right? We can't improve what we don't measure, so let's test our intuition. And don't worry, intuition is a muscle. I'll show you some techniques after this quiz, depending on your score, how you can train up that intuition a little better. So all you need to do is count how many yeses you will have to these 7 questions. That's it. Just count how many yeses. And I'll go through each question. Number 1, when faced with a big decision, do you often seek multiple opinions before making a choice? Number 2, do you feel pressure to follow proven strategies even when they don't feel quite right to you? Number 3, have you ever ignored a gut feeling and later regretted it? Number 4, do you struggle to say no even when an opportunity doesn't align with your goals? Number 5, does the idea of making a decision without a step-by-step blueprint make you feel uncomfortable? Number 6, do you often feel stuck, overthinking your next move instead of taking action? And finally, number 7, are you waiting for that perfect moment, the perfect system, or sign before you start? Okay, spoiler alert, I've said yes to all of these in the past. I've had to train up my intuition. It's not easy. But when you realize that it's atrophied, and then you see other people around you learning how to train up your intuition, this is what we do inside the Catalyst Studio, you actually can catapult your progress faster. But let's get to your score first. If you answered 5 or more yes answers, you need some strengthening. And I really would encourage you to consider the Catalyst Studio. You can book a brainstorming session just to learn more. Links are in the show notes. If you answered 3 to 4 yes, you're on your way, but some deeper alignment work could be used. Perhaps some flow channeling to your calendar. You might be a great fit for the Catalyst Advantage sessions, which are just one-off sessions, you and I in a room in Zoom, and I can help you kind of identify some opportunities for flow and creativity. If you answered 0 to 2 yes, you're awesome, right? You are a catalyst. You're deeply in tune with your intuition. You're probably fearless. You probably make quick decisions, and you have your own strategies and systems that you can count on. So, congratulations on that. Now, let's go back and learn some ways that you can train up your intuition. I have 3 ways that have helped me train up my intuition and my creativity, because I truly believe that innate creativity is more powerful than any system. So the more you can train this up and trust that you can figure this out with your innate creative power, the happier you'll be and the more successful you'll be. So here are 3 things that I've done that have helped. Number 1, when you're faced with a decision, take a journal and write down thoughts freehand or record a voice note before you ask other people's opinions, right? The more you do this, you can look back and see how really you are pretty wise. You do know what feels right or wrong. Bonus points if you want to film a video of yourself talking about the opportunity, you can tell in your face. It's one of my favorite things to do in a mentoring session is talking with a catalyst and watching them talk about 2 or 3 different decisions and seeing their body language and face completely show the cards of which one feels like the right, most aligned decision. It's really fun, but you can do that to yourself. You have that wise future self inside you. You just have to learn to trust it and get that relationship going by journaling, voice notes, or even a Loom video. Okay, number 2, meditation. That's my go-to. Mindfulness meditation, because it connects you with those gut instincts. Often I meditate before my patient sessions or even before my mentoring to call in my own intuitive gifts, because I believe if I can be fully present and aware, open and curious, I can help that practitioner much faster. I can help that patient recognize things much quicker. And I feel like together, things just are more easeful and flow channeled. And number 3, take small intuitive risks. And what I mean by, for example, challenge yourself. Maybe say that you're going to post something on social media without overthinking. Give yourself a time limit. Say, I'm going to create something in 5 minutes or less, and whatever is there, I'm going to post it. Small intuitive risks. Not everybody's going to see it, right? You're going to learn that you can survive a momentary embarrassed moment, or maybe the captions didn't record, or you stumbled over a word, or whatever. In my Catalyst Studio, a lot of us are learning how to host group visits, and many of us are scared. What if I don't have anything to say? What if I'm not prepared? What if I stumble? What if a patient asks a question I don't know the answer to? Guess what? It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. Patients want to trust and like their practitioner. So just by committing to showing up in Zoom once a week for a group visit, and you go over a few slides, maybe you talk about gluten, maybe you talk about estrogen dominance or Hashimoto's or whatever you're passionate about, whatever you just learned about, and you educate to the best that you can, you start to realize through practice that you can count on your intuition. It won't lead you astray. You will have the words that come at the right time. And patients love this authenticity. So try those 3 things and train up your intuition to see how high you can have it soar. It won't lead you astray. It will help you build a business that flows with your heart and guides you towards that work-life masterpiece you've been dreaming of. It's been awesome. As always, I love talking to you. If you're listening to this before March, I'm hosting 2 membership magic workshops, one on a Wednesday, one on a Saturday. And you can go to my link in the show notes, my Eventbrite page. It's only $59. This workshop is enhanced. I did this a few years ago, and I've now enhanced the curriculum with more material and more time so that this hands-on workshop, by the end, you will have designed your own 3-tier stacked membership ready to go. You'll have a profit calculator, a 17-page workbook that's been enhanced, and plenty of Q&A so that you can get that kind of assistance and finally get going on your integrative and functional membership. So join me in March. I'd love to work with you, and together we can flourish inside and outside the exam room. Thanks again, and keep coloring outside the lines. We'll see you next time.